Alrighty, guys. Welcome back. Got a special video tonight. Normally you do the once a week videos, but we're gonna do another one. It's obviously about Jack de Belin. And got the massive Dragons fan with us, Sid, as everyone knows him by now. And look, it's fair to say, not just him, but the chat's been blowing up today about this, and a lot of talking points amongst the rugby league world. Facebook's blown up. I was in a meeting for a few hours, and I got out of it and my phone was blowing up and I was like, what's going on? And then realized what it was. So some talking points, some massive talking points out of this. Obviously the Jack de Belin case, he's now free to play NRL for the Dragons. I'm going to go to Sid now and let him talk about obviously what it's been like the last almost 3 years without him, what it's impacted him for the club. And then we'll talk a bit after that about the NRL side of it and what they've got to answer for. So take it away, Sid.
Yeah, man. Look, it's a very, very bad situation. From day dot for whatever reason happened, and then all this came about. How it impacted the Dragons, obviously, as you know, NRL were quick to do the no fault stand down. In fact, that didn't even exist, and then they just brought this rule in. I found it strange to begin with. I thought, if you're going to come up with a new rule, you need to write it in all the contracts, or at least when they renew the team's licenses, and then the teams enforce the rules. But they brought it in retrospectively, and all of a sudden, de Belin was sitting on the sidelines, and then the circus began, and then the recurring nightmare that was to follow. 2.5 years. Some would say, on a club perspective, so there was rumours that it was distracting for the players, having him train with them. Just general media / social media chatter all the time happening. It was also distracting. Meanwhile, this player, he couldn't play. He still got paid his base contract from the NRL directly. So they stood him down, all that sort of thing. Now, as far as the individual, we talked about the impact of the club. As far as the individual, he was 28. One of the best locks in the world, in attack and defence, quality player, peak of his powers. That is the age when players come into their prime. He was performing very, very well in 2018. He played Origin, got a little busted towards the end of the year, but he was still at the elite level, competing with Jake Trbojevic, and then a bit later he would have been Cameron Murray for the New South Wales lock position. So definitely a quality player that the Dragons lost. And also he lost the best years of his career for any player. You build up to that, the 27, 28, 29. Now he's 31. Now that this is all over, and they say, okay, you can come back now. No worries. Beautiful. Thanks for that. That's the biggest issue, and I'm sure that's what you're talking about as well. The whole guilty to proven innocent thing, it's not good. It's not a good look. It wasn't fair. They could try and paper over the cracks and try and pretty it up and say that, it's for the benefit of the player. The only thing I could see the player benefiting, honestly, was the banter from the stands, being called a rapist and whatever while he's on trial and playing. That wouldn't have been a problem when COVID was in, because there was no fans anyways. But that's the only thing I could see that was actually protecting Jack de Belin. But in short, they've ruined the club. They've ruined the player. He's the best years of his career. And some were saying, he's still got paid. But you know what? He could have performance bonuses. He could have appearance bonuses. He could have finals bonuses, top 4 bonuses, grand final. Who knows? I mean, unlikely. Like the Dragons, they weren't a grand final team. 2018, they were leading the comp for 3/4 of the season and ran out of steam. But while it was unlikely, who knows? Because it was a sliding door moment, and we'll never be able to go back in time to know could he have won grand final. State of Origin, they make 50 grand a game, don't they? Times that by three years. If he was good enough and played for the Australian team as well, I think they make 30 grand a game. That might have triggered some bonuses with the Dragons too. What about endorsements? The list goes on and on. Cameron Munster's doing Gatorade, I think now. There's a couple others that have a Nike as well. So he could have got endorsements if he was that good. Who knows? We'll never know. or because of that fateful event, which is probably a different part of the discussion. But I'll
Yeah.
stop it there.
Look, in regards to what he's lost in his career, and I have read some comments today going, look, he still got paid. He only got paid 100K, and he was on a contract at the Dragons for what, 600-700 or something. So he was losing a lot of money. And for a young person, we talk about their careers, they've only got maximum 15 years in this career to build themselves up. So he's missed out on almost 2 million probably dollars in terms of once you think about the endorsement side of things and rep honors and all that thing. And obviously that's not why you play rep footy, for the money, but it's a bonus, and it's for these young guys to build their careers for those sorts of things. It's massive. And to say sit back and go, oh, I still got paid, well, yeah, obviously 100K is still good money, and I'd love to be on that coin, but for him and for his family and stuff moving forward, like that could have set him up for life, that extra 500 every year. And he's obviously just had to go by on that. Look, the other thing to it is we're not going to sit here and say morally what he did was right, because obviously he had a missus at the time and we don't stand by any of that. We're both very faithful men, and we don't condone anything like that. So what he has done was wrong in a moral side of things. Look, we can only talk about the facts about what happened that night, and for mine it looked a bit sus in terms of the fact that the chick was with him, went back with him, then went back out with him that night and kept drinking with him. I thought if she was saying what had happened, I think that was a little bit of a weird moment, and that's just from someone who's just an average Joe Blow and look at the situation like that. I've spoken to a few people today about it on the phone, and they've sort of said similar things. And that's just the thing about the court systems, I guess, is that we can see things that are happening in certain evidence, yet this has carried on for almost 3 years now. Like he's tarnished his image. Look, he might be able to come back, but we've always seen from players that, like whether it's the Hayne or the Valentine Holmes that go to America and come back, it just changes the player. He's going to come back now, and it's going to be really hard for him, even though he's a forward. We haven't really seen it with the forwards before, so it's be interesting how he goes. But I have no doubt that, yeah, he might come back and be still a pretty good player, but he won't be anywhere near what he was, or will take him some time. And he's now, what, 31, 32 or something like that. And he's only got a couple of years to go. And with these new rules, we've seen it really impact a lot of the forwards with how they play. I know de Belin has a really good tackling style, though, so it shouldn't impact him too much. But you never know. The game's really fast, and it's going to be interesting. What about from an NRL perspective now, Sid? And we'll quickly mention on this one is that I think you mentioned it. You said that they've got to look out for this no-fault stand-down, which I think when it first came out was dangerous territory, because then it's the NRL telling a player basically, yep, you're guilty, without it even going through the courts. And I've always been a believer in you not guilty until proven guilty, obviously by the courts, however that ends up happening. And because of this sort of reason, it's tarnished his career. If he could have kept playing, like I read a comment today, and someone said, look, he was still allowed to walk the streets every day, live a normal life. That's him being proven not guilty. So why can't he keep doing his work, which was playing as a rugby league fan and as a rugby league player? It just doesn't make much sense. I think he's got pretty good grounds to sue the NRL. I would not be surprised if it's over the next few years, or he tries to just focus on league for a couple of years. And once he does officially retire, he might go into the suing side of things. But I definitely think in the next 5 years, we'll hear more of this story. Where are you at with this one, Sid? You think that the NRL has a leg to stand on?
No, and they're going to have to brace themselves because of the way they treated him. I know obviously they'll have legal teams that would advise them of certain things, but they as usual, the NRL, they make decisions based on the public, what they see online, and public generally it's the negative people that jump on and make a lot of noise. There's a term called the silent majority. I'm sure there was a lot more people than it looked that wouldn't have minded if he was just, okay, he's gone to court, he's innocent until proven guilty. If, say, he got close to a verdict or whatever, his mind didn't look like he was on the job, he'll probably pull out himself, but that wasn't their call to make. He was innocent. He was innocent all the way up to that point, and guess what? All of a sudden, he's it's not guilty. The charge has been dropped. So it is really bad, and they can expect some litigation. And I'll add one more thing to the earlier list. Of all the money he's missed out on. I'll say defamation as well, because they hung him out to dry like no tomorrow. And you can sue for defamation. That as a public figure, that's definitely a thing. And then obviously, the legal experts will be talking to him about that. They'll be circling about that one.
Yeah,
to make that right.
100%. And I guess another thing is, and it's touching on the legal side of it, so I don't touch on it too much, but I just don't get why. And we've seen it in the last couple of years where NRL players do something wrong, their names run through the media. It's through all the pages, it's through every Facebook page. Yet I click on something, I want to read the article, and they say the girl's name can't be named for legal reasons. Now, these players are human beings. It's exactly the same. So why can their name be run through the mud for whatever reason, whether they're guilty or not? Yet these women that are in the same boat, and in this case ended up being found that she was making it up or lying, is protected. It just, for mine, it doesn't make sense. De Belin has lost a lot. And I always say to people, you think about situations if it's one of your family members. Would you like one of your family members to go through this and have 3 years basically of their life torn apart? He stopped doing what he loved. Obviously, it was his mistake. He stuffed up at the start, but it would have been just a breakup he had to deal with, and it would have been over that after a few months. But this has just been a whole new ball game. And Sid, any final words as a Dragons member, as a fan, for Jack or for the club? Anything moving forward?
There is one thing. I think there is a lesson, definitely a lesson to take away here, and it's something I was mindful of growing up, being a single bloke. Going out of the town and trying to get involved with girls, like as you do, and but I was always worried. But there was always that little thing that anytime a girl, and I tread carefully here, because much respect for real rape victims. I hate it. It's one of the most, along with pedophiles, it's one of the most horrific things ever, and it infuriates me. And I hate it with a passion. It's the most evil thing you can do. So with respect, but a girl anytime can turn around, whether it's 10 years later, and say, I was raped, having slept with a guy, things didn't go so well, whether it was emotionally or what actually went on in the bedroom or something like that, like what happened to Hayne, and she could say, I was raped or was sexually assaulted or something like that, right? Now, the lesson here is just you got to really, really be careful, especially a public figure, a rugby league player. So as soon as they know you're a celebrity or a sports star, you got some money, you're vulnerable, you're a target. Just one last thing I will add, as far as his personal relationship with his partner, for all we know, while it's not in my upbringing or culture, or maybe not yours, maybe it is, I don't know, but for all we know, she could have, she was heavily pregnant, she could have said, you got a hall pass, go, I just don't want to know about it. You know what I mean? Like, some people do that. I know people that do. It's so the point of the story being, guess what? It's none of our business, and she's still with him now. So that says a lot. So if he's gone out, met a girl, and then one thing led to another, and that's no one's business. Nothing, It's just. So as far as the cheating or the adultery, if they were married, it'd be adultery. It's like, while it's not for us, as you mentioned earlier, it's not our business, But yeah, the lesson is you just got to be really, really careful. And it doesn't mean don't trust women. It's really a scary time, but just they got to take their time and build a relationship naturally, and just try and stay away from one night stands, I guess, because anytime it can bite you in the backside. Probably the best way I can put it.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, look, moving forward, we wish Jack all the best. Hope he can come back onto the field and do what he loves. Hope everything now in the personal life as well starts to take shape and he can get back to some normality as much as you can after going through this. It's going to take some time, but hopefully the Dragons stick by him. Hopefully the NRL start to offer him some sort of help. But look, I think at the end of the day, we're going to hear about this a lot more in a few years to come. There's going to be more to this because I can see some kind of suing action in place for the NRL, and it's going to be interesting how that ends up happening. So, cheers for coming on, Sid. Short notice, it was good to have a bit of a chat about this big topic in rugby league at the moment. No doubt, catch you next week, and guys, let us know what you think as well below. Give us a comment on one of the platforms. Make sure you give us a follow. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and enjoy your weekend of footy.
Thank you.